in the Vodacom Isondo Sports 2000, currently competing in the West Bank V8 series. Now, guys, as far as development is concerned, perhaps let me start with you, Mike. We've seen a lot of things promised as far as development is concerned. I think one of the shining lights in the old days, if I can use that term, was the Toyota program, which had its roots in karting, with, of course, the idea that the guys would go from there on into production cars. That didn't happen for various reasons, which we really won't go into today. But how successful do you think development has been in motorsport?
I think if one looks at the whole development of track racing, I can only really speak about. To date, out of our program, we have 8 youngsters who've graduated to national championship categories. And I think that in the short period of time we have been going, I think has achieved a lot.
Isondo started its development program in what, 99?
About 99, yes.
And just tell us briefly how it has, what the process is, where you get the kids from, what they go, what kind of training they go in and undergo before they go into the racing cars.
Okay. Well, effectively, finding them has been the problem up until now. That is an issue that I think we're going to be addressing a little bit later. But we find them more from karting backgrounds, if we can, which means myself and Peter Lance, who also runs the program as well, find kids in karting circuits that we believe have some talent or latent talent. We then take them, and then the training starts, which is mechanical training as well as driver training. And of course the problem with our sport is, well, it's twofold. It's dangerous and it's expensive. So it's not like tennis. You go and find a kid a racket and a ball and you go and knock it against the wall. Our sport isn't like that. So we have to take the danger element into account as well.
Absolutely. So from Motorsport South Africa's side, I think a lot of blame has been put at your doorstep in terms of some of the problems that have been occurring in development. We'll touch on those briefly, but I think we also need to try and find out where to go. But how have you guys seen the development in South Africa, and have you been happy with the results so far?
Benedict, I can say at the moment we're very happy. You know, with the limited resources we have managed to produce people like Gugu Zulu, Chops Sipoka, and so on. Although motorsport, you know, does not directly help those people financially, our support, you know, we have development programs running thanks to Vodacom, and like I'm saying, we have very limited resources. We have 40,000 per region to spend on development, which is nothing, you know, as you know how expensive motorsport is. But you know, like I'm saying, with those limited resources, we have managed to produce people that we can say they will become in future national champions of motorsport.
It's an interesting figure, 40,000 per region. We'll get back to that figure because I think it might play a very crucial role in terms of where, maybe when we evaluate how to spend that money going forward. But Gugu, you are of course one of probably the highest profile products of development in South Africa, having won the Sports 2000 championship a couple of years ago. How has it been from inside? How were you able to learn and adapt and learn skills which are able to help you today in West Bank V8s?
Well, Benedict, it was quite a big climb for me. I mean, I started off with the Isondo Racing Academy in 1997, and in that program, you know, we were taught things such as marketing yourself as well in terms of administration of the sport, karting as well, and I progressed into the Isondo Sports 2000, which came about in 1999. And through that, I actually was able to be on the plane and actually show what I can do. And with the right kind of support, I managed to get up to as far as I am, you know, where I'm doing West Banks right now and also participating in the rally scene with VW. So it has been a very tough climb, but it hasn't been easy. It has been a lot of sacrifice, and obviously with the right support structures around me, I've managed to be where I am today.
One of the other, I think, leading lights in development has, of course, been Chops Sipoka, who looks likely to tie his first championship as far as the Polar Cup is concerned. Gugu, when you started, people like Chops hadn't arrived on the scene yet, but he has subsequently come in, and you know, what is your feeling on this guy?
I think Chops has been, he's had a very good background, and as well, I mean, look at Terry Moss, a guy who's really supporting him since the beginning, you know, and looking at the way he has actually progressed. I mean, at one stage when I met him, Chops was right at the back of the grid, and today he's leading the championship as well, you know. So it has been a very good basis for him to perform, and he's had the right structure in terms of support with Terry Moss, and I mean I participated with them as well and was in the team some time ago. And looking at the way Terry runs that camp, it's really a very good camp, So
and the fact that he's challenging for the championship, I think is a lot of
it's
credit
very
to his
outstanding,
ability.
and considering that he's been in the sports for the last 5 years, the guy's definitely come up in big folds, So definitely there's lots of opportunities for other guys as well out there.
Do you expect guys who make it through in the development series to play some kind of ambassadorial role? We see in our society there's been a huge outcry that we don't have enough heroes, we don't have enough role models. Are these the kind of people that we should be looking at, Nomsa?
Absolutely, Benedict. If you look at Gugu, for example, I mean, I can really say he's a good ambassador for motorsport. We will be doing road shows, to schools, to other parts of the township, and people like Gugu can tell, other youngsters who are have interest in motorsport, how they can get involved and how difficult it was for him to come on board. And also, he can go there, explain to people that motorsport is not only about driving. This is one other thing I would like to send out to youngsters there, that motorsport is not only about driving. Motorsport has many other aspects in it. We have the administration side of things where people can be commentators, they can be marshals, they can be clerk of the courses and things like that. So people can just phone us, to find out what they can do, because like I'm saying, with the limited resources we have, unfortunately we cannot afford to involve as many people as we would love to.
And of course we will give Motorsport South Africa's details at the end of the show. But Nomsa, staying with you for a couple of seconds, what's happening in other categories? We've discussed, I think, a lot of track racing as far as development is concerned. What's happening on the rally scene and the off-road scene?
Okay, rally scene, we have Gugu participating in rally, and we are going to be looking at off-road very soon. We have equipment already. Our problem was a trainer. We couldn't find a trainer at that time, but yes, there is Norbert from Motocross who will be coming on board. We are looking at starting that program at the beginning of next month.
Mike, how would you describe the quality of racing in the Isondo Sports 2000 at the moment? I know that there has been a new intake of I think 6 or 7 new guys who had not been racing before.
Yeah.
But the quality of racing?
Look, I think, Benedict, the guys that have had the experience, in other words, that have been here probably their second year, are quality drivers. They really are. And the newer drivers, yes, you can't learn to race until you're in a race. You can go to a track and we can put kids driving around and around the track, and that's fine. But when you get to a race day, that particular racing line that you are comfortable with, you suddenly find there's 16 other people who want exactly that same line. And so one can't really learn racing until you're in a race. So, yeah, I mean, you'll see kids will start out, they are slow, they're at the back of the field, and they'll stay there for a few races, but they'll start coming through to the front there. And I think the quality...
And the guys who are up at the front, do you reckon that they have what it takes to make it to the next level? At what stage do you start saying, okay, you've been in the series for 2 years, you need to move up, or perhaps maybe you need to go into retirement?
Well, retirement, yeah. If I could just go back, when you talk about the quality of the drivers, because we race amongst ourselves, it's always been difficult to sort of judge. We've been great with Gugu moving out and showing guys that he's very capable. What I did, I took the opportunity of entering 4 cars in the endurance race last year. Do you remember that race we had at the end of the year? And the reason I did that was to now say, okay, let's now put ourselves against other drivers in other categories in other cars. And I mean, in the beginning, I could see some very skeptical faces there. And I said, fine, if at the end of Friday's practice you guys are uncomfortable with the quality of our drivers, I'll withdraw the cars. And I went round to all the chairmen of the other categories there and spent some time with them on the quality of our drivers. And I have to tell you that without exception, they were all highly impressed with what we were doing. The guys, the way they drove, the awareness of what was going on the track there, the courtesy, and I think they're great ambassadors for our program. And in the race itself, I mean, there's some interesting shots of that race that showed me that these guys are quality drivers.
Well, let's have a look at the latest race, which happened, of course, a couple of weeks at Zwartkops, and then we'll discuss the race afterwards.
starting of this year for the Vodacom Isondo Sports 2000 Development Series and their first visit to Zwartkops this season. So for a lot of the newcomers, it's going to be a brand new experience. Two ladies in the field today. Lindy Flamini, who has raced before, she's on the right, and Joy Monoreng, a stockbroker from Johannesburg, making her debut here at Zwartkops. Devon Munsami, third in the series, will start the first race on pole position ahead of Kern Francis, who's currently second in the series, while points leader Mona Idas will start at the back after an infringement in qualifying.
Devon, third race of the championship, and judging by your hair, obviously going through a purple patch.
Yeah, well, qualified second, and unfortunately for what happened to Mona Idas, we're going to be starting in first, pole position. The team turned out the car quite well. It's running nicely, and hope we can turn it into a win.
Well, first time on pole position, you reckon you can do it here at Zwartkops?
Yeah, it's the first, and like I said, got a good car, and we'll just have to see.
Well, he's in the best position to see how this one turns out. We are underway, the first race of the day, over 10 laps. Devon Munsami leading Kern Francis, and look at number 2, Sipiwe Mandele, started in 6th position and has had a very good start already. In 3rd place, Mona Apollos, that's where he started, number 14 going through there. That's Faisal Damji, one of the new faces in the series this year, number 15 going through, Benedict Macha. There's number 23, that's Joy Monoreng. As we go back to the battle for the lead on the inside, number 7, Kern Francis, has a look down the inside of Devon Munsami. It's early days in this race still, but the top 3 are already breaking away as they go up into Haviland Corner for the first time. That section of the track known as Sunset Boulevard, because, oh, and somebody goes very, very wide, and that is Tsakane Mofokeng, who is exploring his own and his car's limits in only his 3rd outing in the series. The top runners already going through Clubhouse Corner for the first time, and we'll pick up the race order as they complete lap number 1 out of 10. Number 18 is Teriso Motohong. Race order: Devon Munsami from Kern Francis, Mona Apollos. A good distance between all 3 of them. In 4th place, Sipiwe Mandele. Number 2 coming through there, being chased by the number 9 cars, Zenzi Mofokwane and Faisal Damji. Well, it seems like he's holding up some of the cars behind. Toriso Motohong coming through down the inside. Great move there. He's also one of the newcomers and very, very keen on his racing. One of the smallest drivers in this field as well. The battle at the front is continuing. The top 3, Devon Munsami, Kern Francis, Mona Apollos, and there's number 2, Sipiwe Mandele. We'll watch out for car number 4. This is Faisal Damji. Car number 4, of course, Mona Idas, who started at the back of the field. In fact, why he was penalized in qualifying was because he overtook a car under a double waved yellow. And here's something happening. It's Eugil Mongahu, who's chasing Faisal Damji down for 7th position. In fact, just behind him in 9th is Mona Idas. We'll keep an eye out for him. But at the front, Devon Munsami is being caught. Oh, and a spin there by Joy. That's Joy Monoreng, one of the 2 ladies in this race. She's learning the ropes and getting to know her own limits as well. Zenzi Mofokwane, number 9 in 5th position, chased by Toriso Motohong, and Mona Idas has moved up into 7th already. He's gone past both Faisal Damji and Eugil Mongahu. So he's on a run. Mona Idas leading the championship, coming to Zwartkops, and he would be very, very keen to get higher up the order as the battle for the lead continues. Now they've broken away, Devon Munsami and Kern Francis. Then Mona Idas and Sipiwe Mandele fighting it out for 3rd position. Sipiwe Mandele closing in on Mona Apollos. There is car number 2 in the Telkom colours. And here's a change in the midfield. It's Eugil Mongahu who's been able to get past Faisal Bangji. So Eugil moves up into 8th position. Battle for 3rd position is hotting up, however, as Sipiwe Mandele has closed up right to Mona Apollos. Battle at the front is a battle between the 2nd and 3rd placed men in the championship as well. Sipiwe Mandele has now closed right up to the gearbox of Mona Apollos. This is a nice pattern developing in this race. 2-way battle for the lead, Devon Munsami and Kern Francis. Then this battle for 3rd, Mona Apollos in the number 10 car, and Sipiwe Mandele. These cars are all powered by, oh, and this is Joy Monoreng having another spin in the hairpin, and the leaders are coming through, so it's a bit of a dangerous situation there. There are Mona Apollos and Sipiwe Mandele. As I was saying, these cars are all powered by 2-litre Opel 8-valve engines. They all run on Goodyear road tyres. 7 laps are gone, and now Kern Francis wants to take that first position away from Devon Munsami. Kern Francis in second place in the series, Devon in third position, so Devon will be defending, and he is indeed, takes the inside line. But Kern Francis is going to get a better run out of Haviland Corner. Meanwhile, in the battle for third, Sipiwa Mangele has obviously decided to do exactly the same. He's got the inside line down Haviland Corner, goes into third position. Nice move there, classic overtaking maneuver by Sipiwa Mangele on Mona Apollos, as Kern Francis is pushing and pushing hard. They're coming up to Joy Monoreng, who's obviously lost a lot of time because of those 2 earlier spins. And now the 2 leaders will have to find a way around the slower car. Well, she does well, keeps down the on the outside. They go past, and now Kern Francis is right there, and Joy goes wide again. She's really now learning all the skills necessary to be a successful racing driver. That's what the flags are there for. Nobody's allowed to overtake. The marshals from the Kailawi Marshals Association doing the job, getting her back onto the track. She will need to stay out of the way as well. Lap and a bit still to go, but the change at the front as Kern Francis has gone into the lead ahead of Devon Munsami. Caught him out under braking for Haviland Corner. Sipiwe Mangele, and they all coming past Joy Monoreng there. Sipiwe Mangele still in third position ahead of Mona Idas, who has moved into fourth place ahead of Mona Apollos. And Zenzi Mafukwane is in sixth position. Final lap, and Kern Francis well on his way to his first victory of the day. They are catching up some of the slower traffic. They'll have to be very, very careful. He doesn't feel that he needs to take the defensive line, as Lindy Clamini, our second lady, goes wide in the hairpin as well in her efforts to get out of the way of the race leaders. And, well, it seems that Devon Munsami's charge has petered out somewhat. Further down the order, Benedict Macher goes through in ninth position. That's Faisal Bamji, who's coming up to lap Asher Ngwobo, also another of the newcomers in the series. But at the front, there's no question as to who is going to take the day's first victory. Kern Francis, he is well ahead of Devon Munsami, and that will propel him well clear of Munsami in the championship as well. So Sipiwe Mangele comes over the line in third place ahead of Mona Idas, a good comeback drive in fourth. Mona Apollos in fifth place ahead of Zenzi Mafukwane. Toriso Motong and Yujil Mongaho complete the top 8 as we catch up with Joy Monoreng to find out how she found her first race.
So Joy, first race weekend, you've enjoyed yourself?
Very much so, very much, absolutely. It was, the adrenaline was pumping like crazy. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
What made you get into this?
I've always been a Formula One race fan and an adrenaline junkie of note. And I just thought, look, I've done the bungees and the skydiving, and let me try the racing. So yeah.
Going to be back again?
Definitely, definitely.
You're going to give it to the boys next time, are you?
Next time, this was just to get the feel because it was my first race. Next time, yeah, I would have learned the ropes like I did today. It's just the experience that I needed to be out there in the race.
That's the way they will line up for race 2. Kern Francis in pole position. Their order determined by their second best lap times during qualifying, and some of them very slow lap times because that session was cut short prematurely. Once again, Mona Idas starts at the back as we are under racing conditions. Another 10-lapper ahead of us. Kern Francis from Devon Munsami, Mona Apollos, Faisal Bamji. Number 20, Lindy Clamini starts in 6th position. That's a very high position for her. She's just behind Toriso Motohung as they go through the hairpin for the first time. Very slow. They are under yellow conditions for the first 2 corners, and Joy Monoreng is really holding up those 5 drivers behind her. They will not be happy with that as Kern Francis and Devon Munsami pull away from Mona Apollos. Faisal Bamji is dropping down the order, and a problem for Faisal Bamji as well as Toriso Motong. It's a dangerous position there, but the front runners are clear as they go into Haviland, and the race leader Kern Francis spins around. He made a mistake on cold tires, and he will be kicking himself for that. Loses 1, 2, 3 positions and joins in 4th place. So Devon Munsami and Mona Apollos pull clear as they come up to complete lap number 1 out of 10. Mona Apollos, Devon Munsami, then further back in 3rd place has been able to get past Asher Ngwobo. That's Kern Francis. He will try to get closer to the 2 race leaders as soon as possible. 5th At the moment, Zenzi Mafukwane, then Benedict Macha in 6th, Sipiwe Mangala in 7th, and Lindy Dlamini is in 8th position. A good performance by the lady, as we see number 9, Zenzi Mafukwane, putting some serious pressure on Asha Ngobo. Got a good drive out of the hairpin, but at the front, action is happening as Devon Munsami goes down the inside of Mona Apollos, forces in wide, and Mona Apollos does well to keep that car under control. They're off the racing line, but on the inside is Devon Munsami in a great overtaking move there. So back into the lead, Mr. Munsami, who will be very happy with Kern Francis down in 3rd position, so he'll be taking some points back that he lost in the first race. And further back in the field, Mona Idas is battling to try and get closer to the leaders down the inside of Asher Ngobo, and goes past is Zenzi Mafukwane. So he moves up 1 position. Just talking about Mona Idas, who was stuck behind that earlier group when they went so slowly, so he's trying to get closer as well. Number 19 is Eugene Wonga Hall. And look at that group of cars coming down towards turn 8, the final corner of the lap. Asher Ngobo going a little bit wide, but keeps the car under control. At the front, it is still Devon Munsami from Mona Apollos, and in 3rd place, Kern Francis. Closing in on them, as these two are keeping each other very, very busy. There's Kern Francis going through, Sipiwe Mangele in 4th. There's Mona Idas up into 5th position already. Then Zenzi Mafukwane, Benedict Macha in 7th place. And a huge battle going on behind them. Asher Ngobo in 8th position. He is holding up Chekane Mofokeng, Teresa Motohong, and Eugil Mongahu in 11th position. That's the battle in the midfield. They're all over the place, as Asher Ngobo in 8th position is trying to hold on to that position. They're all taking different lines through all the corners, so there's still some basic racing craft that needs to be learned. But that's what this process is all about. As Teresa Motohong has gone into 8th position, he relegated Asher Ngobo, there in number 11, down to 9th. Chakane Mofokeng still in 10th, and Eugil Mongo in 11th. And Kern Francis has caught up with Mona Apollos. He's got the line to take him around on the outside. Mona Apollos takes the defensive line, but he goes wide. That was inevitable. So Kern Francis, neat little outbraking maneuver there, and he's got the drive. Yes, he does indeed. So Kern Francis into 2nd place, past Mona Apollos, while all the time Devon Munsami has opened up his lead. The question is, however, how long is he going to be able to keep off that charging car of Kern Francis, who is pulling clear of Mona Apollos. At the moment, still Sipiwe Mangala in 4th place, as we see them closing in on race leader Devon Munsami. So a great three-way battle, in fact, developing now. Just a few laps from now, we're likely to see all 3 of them together at the front of the field. Sipiwe Mangala under pressure from Mona Idas behind him, battle for 4th, as they tick off the laps, getting towards the final stages of the race now. Mona Apollos has obviously lost out some momentum, and he's got some work to do to close in on Kern Francis again. There is Mona Idas, in fact, gone past Sipiwe Mangala and up into 4th position. 2 laps still to go, and the battle for the lead is on. Devon Munsami coming under pressure from Kern Francis. They've broken away from Mona Apollos. Mona Idas, championship leader, in 4th position. Sipiwe Mangala. Oh, and that's number 11, Asher Ngobo, off and into the wall, so his race is over. And the cars are all over the place. Mona Apollos almost loses it there in the very fast right-hand sweep. Devon Munsami on the defensive into Haviland corner, and he's going to lose a lot of momentum in that process. Kern Francis is closing in on him, and he is right there. This is the battle for 3rd position, Mona Apollos and Mona Idas. Points leader is pushing hard. He wants to minimize the damage to his championship position. Cannot afford to give away any more points. And in fact, Mona Idas has gone into 3rd position. Just there in the background, he's passed Mona Apollos into the final corner. So Idas is on a roll, but will he have enough time to close in on the 2 race leaders? That's Chekane Mofokeng still in the top 10. Toriso Motohome just behind him in the number 18 car. And Eugil Mongo as well. But Kern Francis has gone into the lead. Devon Munsami is trying hard, he's trying too hard, gets the car in a spin, and this will cost him more positions than the 2nd place. as Mona Idas and Mona Apollos go through. Devon Munsami just too late on the brakes there into Haviland corner, and this man is smiling. Kern Francis, who is on his way to take his second race victory of the day. There it is, the checkered flag. So Kern Francis scores the points, full points for the day, ahead of Mona Idas. A good drive from the back of the field. Mona Apollos finishes in third. Devon Munsami retains that fourth place ahead of Sipiwe Mangele and Zenzi Mafukwane. So Kern Francis goes to the top of the standings.
Well, Kern, following in your brother's footsteps, a couple of wins.
Oh yes, definitely. I'm aiming to emulate the guy and maybe do it a bit more often. It was really something tremendous. I must say, firstly, thanks to the team, Mr. Mike Shaw, Wayne, Ryan, and all the guys that have helped me put this excellent car together. I think if it hadn't been for their excellent workmanship, it would not be possible. It's been wonderful.
And maybe leading the championship now as well.
Well, yeah, that's an added bonus. I think that would be even better. Just a perfect way to top off the day.
I had a triumph and a disaster here. With the players, I was lucky to know. But one thing was never discussed: erection problems. If men suffer.
Welcome back. Discussing the Isondo Development Program, which is of course sponsored by Vodacom, and it's running with the old Sports 2000 racing cars. In the studio with me, I do of course have Mike Shaw, Gugulethu Zulu, and Nomsatla Ngwane, who are interested players, role players in development in South African motorsport. Mike, you obviously did some wonderful work on Kern Francis' car. He paid tribute to you there after a phenomenal victory. But going back, looking at race weekend, it was clear for me, who was also one of the guest drivers there, that there's still some basics that we need to get right. I mean, in qualifying, for example, people going out on cold tires and spinning out, and in fact it was a very short qualifying session, people overtaking under yellow flags and a red flag situation. Are those some of the concerns that at this stage in the game the basics are still a little bit problematic?
Yeah, it's particularly with the newer drivers. The other guys have got that experience now. But before every practice session, as you know, I have a briefing session with the drivers to advise them on changing track conditions, where there's a lot of oil on the track, or cold tyres, that was really cold on Friday and Saturday of that race weekend. So yeah, we go through a lot of those. But as you know, with the new driver, the adrenaline is just sort of pumping so much that when they close that visor, as Google knows, the whole world stops and racing starts. So as they get more experience, then obviously they pay a lot more attention to that. But we've got to go through those learning curves.
Are you happy that the same standard is being applied across the series? Because as we do know, there's some, depending on which team you race for, there's a certain perhaps some teams are more disciplined than others. Should we not be looking at standardizing those kind of routines?
I think I'm trying to really set an example. Because
I mean, as chairman of the association, surely it is your responsibility to make sure that that same standard is upheld, irrespective of who's running the individual teams.
That issue is being addressed at the moment, because at the end of the day, we want top drivers out of it. And it's not just about driver skill. The guys have to have a mechanical awareness of the car, and the basic knowledge of what to do with cars, the setup, how to interpret what the performance of the car is, the oversteer or understeer or whatever. And if you recall, our people are with us really, it's a transition that they're with us for, because that's not the ultimate aim to be in Sports 2000. It's a training school, and from there we move them hopefully into other classes of racing. And that's really my responsibility, is to make sure that when another class of racing gets these drivers, that they are of quality.
Google, from a driver's point of view, you were one of the quicker drivers. Perhaps one of your flaws, which I was always happy to point out to you, was the lack of consistency. In that you were very, very quick, but you weren't finishing races, and that's why I think you didn't win the first championship. Right. But I think maybe with a little bit of maturity, that's where the second championship came in. You're coming around the corner very quickly. and you've got inexperienced drivers on the track.
Right.
Maybe one of them is facing the wrong way around, yellow flags. Now, Mike's spoken about, once the visor goes down, all brain matter seems to slow down. Can you talk us through something like that?
Definitely. I mean, looking back at my first day, as you say, I could have won the championship, but the fact that I was so quick, I mean, I did lap records all over the country, but I couldn't keep the car on the track. It's just one of the basics that I had to just go through, and we all have to go through and learn that stuff. We have to learn the racing line. We have to learn the difference, what happens if someone spins in front of you. Your reaction time as well, has to improve. So it's all part of training. It's something that comes as you progress into the sport, and I think the guys as well will also improve. I mean, looking at the top 5 right now, those guys have been around for the last year also. Last year they raced, and now they're in the front of on the field, and they've done very well. They've come up very fast. Devin also, we used to refer to him as Benoldi because he used to hold me up, and I hated that. But right now he's leading races and he's actually overtaking guys, or he's actually the one to be overtaken, So I think with time the guys will definitely be up to scratch, and they'll learn the basics of what's the game involved, And if given the chance, as Mike says, they'll definitely be the top caliber that we're looking for.